Did you know that over 60% of people no longer trust mainstream news, and that number keeps rising every year? It's not just the media. Faith in governments, health experts, and even science itself is quietly collapsing. People are waking up and starting to ask dangerous questions. And when that happens, something big shifts in society. What happens when millions of people suddenly stop believing the story they've been told their entire lives? We are living in an age where the truth feels harder to find than ever. One day, a headline tells you something is safe. The next, it's deadly. Experts contradict each other. Facts change overnight. And anyone who dares to question the narrative gets labeled, silenced, or cancelled. But beneath all the noise, there's something deeper going on. This isn't just confusion, it's a quiet revolution. In this video, we'll uncover 10 eye-opening truths you need to know as the world wakes up. By the end, you'll see what most people don't, and understand how to stay calm, sharp, and grounded as the cracks in the narrative keep growing. Number 1. Information overload is breaking trust. We live in the most connected era in human history, yet people have never felt more uncertain. Every second, millions of new posts, tweets, headlines, and videos flood our screens, each claiming to tell the real truth. But instead of helping us feel informed, all this information is creating a kind of mental fog. Studies from institutions like the University of California show that when people are exposed to too many conflicting messages, they begin to feel mentally exhausted, confused, and eventually numb. It's not just overwhelming, it's disorienting. And when people feel disoriented, they stop trusting everything, including the truth. The result? We start questioning not only the media or officials, but ourselves. You might find yourself asking, who do I believe? Is this real? What if I've been wrong this whole time? This constant second-guessing leads to decision fatigue, where even simple choices, like whether to believe a health warning or trust a statistic, become stressful. Social media only worsens the problem. With every scroll, you're exposed to sensational claims, emotional arguments, and viral opinions, all fighting for your attention. It's no wonder people are tuning out or turning away entirely from traditional sources of information. The noise is simply too loud. So, what can you do to protect your clarity in a world of endless noise? The key is to simplify and filter. Instead of consuming everything, curate your sources. Choose a small number of outlets or voices you genuinely trust, preferably ones that offer context, not just headlines. Turn off notifications, take breaks from doom scrolling, and practice digital boundaries. More importantly, give yourself permission to pause and process. You don't need to have an opinion on everything instantly. In a world addicted to speed, slowing down is an act of wisdom. Because in the end, the goal isn't to know everything, it's to see clearly. Number 2. Narratives keep changing. One of the biggest reasons people are losing faith is simple. The story keeps changing. What was called a conspiracy last year is accepted as fact today. What was once settled science is now being revised or retracted. From health guidelines and political stances to climate predictions and social movements, the public has watched official narratives flip, sometimes without warning, often without explanation. This constant shifting doesn't just confuse people, it erodes trust. Humans naturally seek patterns and consistency to feel safe. But when the truth keeps changing, it begins to feel like we are being manipulated, not informed. Of course, we should expect some change. Science evolves. New data emerges. But here's the problem. The messaging around those changes is rarely honest or humble. Instead of saying, we got it wrong, or this is what we knew then, and here's what we know now, authorities often act like the new version was always the truth. That kind of gaslighting makes people feel like they're being lied to, even when the correction is legitimate. It's not the change itself breaks trust, it's the lack of transparency, the refusal to admit mistakes, and the speed at which old truths are buried and replaced with new ones. So what can you do when you notice the narrative shifting? First, don't panic. Understand that truth is often a moving target, but it moves in patterns. Look for voices that offer nuance, admit uncertainty, and show their sources clearly. Be especially cautious when someone speaks in absolutes. The more certain someone sounds, the more important it is to ask, what are they not telling me? Most importantly, stay grounded in your own ability to think critically. You don't need to chase every twist and turn. Instead, watch how the pieces move over time. Patterns reveal more than headlines. In a world where the story keeps changing, learning to track those patterns may be the most powerful skill of all. Number 3. Institutional credibility is eroding. For decades, we were told to trust the system, governments, health agencies, media outlets, even our education systems. These were the institutions that claimed to have our best interests at heart. But today, more people are waking up to a harsh reality. Those trusted institutions are no longer trusted. Scandals, cover-ups, censorship, and broken promises have taken a serious toll. Research from organizations like Gallup shows a dramatic decline in public trust across nearly all major institutions. And when these once respected bodies repeatedly fail to be transparent, people stop believing them, even when they're telling the truth. What's even more damaging is the way these institutions react when they're caught. Instead of owning up to mistakes, they often deny, deflect, or spin the narrative. This creates a cycle of distrust that only grows worse with time. People begin to feel gaslighted, like they're being manipulated rather than informed. And that's dangerous, because once people lose faith in the systems meant to protect them, they either withdraw completely, or they turn to fringe sources just because those sources feel more honest or human. Truth becomes a guessing game, and trust becomes a rare commodity. So how do you move forward in a world where credibility feels broken? The answer isn't to reject everything, it's to become more aware, selective, and critical. Ask better questions. Pay attention to who's funding the message. Look for whistleblowers, independent researchers, and balanced voices who aren't afraid to challenge the system. Most importantly, don't lose hope. Yes, some institutions are broken, but awareness is the first step toward change. Instead of blindly following or completely tuning out, choose to engage consciously. Because the more clearly you see the cracks, the better prepared you'll be to build something stronger. Number 4. Social media fuels division, not truth. Social media was supposed to connect us, but somewhere along the way, it started doing the opposite. Instead of bringing people together through open conversation, it has become a battlefield of outrage, misinformation, and emotional manipulation. Platforms like Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok are not designed to reward truth. They're designed to reward attention. And what grabs attention the fastest? Conflict, controversy, and fear. The result? An endless stream of content that divides people into echo chambers, each convinced that their version of the truth is the only one that matters. The algorithms behind these platforms are not neutral. They're built to keep you scrolling by feeding you more of what you already believe. That means if you click on a sensational or emotionally charged video, even once, you'll start seeing more of it. Over time, your feed becomes an illusion of truth, not because it's accurate, but because it feels familiar. This creates what's called confirmation bias on steroids, a feedback loop where lies feel true simply because they're repeated so often. And when everyone is living in their own digital reality, meaningful dialogue becomes nearly impossible. So how do you take back control? Start by realizing that your feed is not the world, it's a filtered version of it. Unfollow accounts that constantly stir outrage, even if you agree with them. Follow a diverse range of voices that challenge your thinking respectfully. Set time limits on how long you scroll, and don't mistake viral for verified. You're not just a user on these platforms, you're the product. So the moment you start using them with intention, not impulse, you break the cycle. In a world where algorithms try to control what you believe, staying conscious is a radical act of freedom. Number 5. History has been sanitized or distorted. For many of us, the version of history we learned in school was carefully packaged, neat, patriotic, and often one-sided. But as more people dig deeper, they're discovering that key parts of our history were left out, watered down, or completely rewritten. From colonialism and slavery to wars, political coups, and the rise of global powers, much of what really happened is far more complex and uncomfortable than what was taught. And when people start uncovering these truths, it shakes their foundation. They begin to ask, if they lied about the past, what else have they hidden? This isn't just a conspiracy theory, it's a documented reality. Scholars, independent journalists, and even declassified government files have revealed how powerful groups have reshaped historical narratives to protect national pride, preserve influence, or avoid accountability. The result? Generations of people grow up with a filtered understanding of the world, unaware of how manipulated the timeline has become. And when that illusion breaks, it doesn't just create distrust in history books, it creates deep suspicion toward every other official story. So what's the solution? It starts with curiosity and courage. You don't have to reject everything you were taught, but you should be willing to explore beyond it. Read books and articles from diverse perspectives, especially those written by people from countries, cultures, or backgrounds different from your own. Watch documentaries that question the mainstream version of events. Look for primary sources whenever possible, not just interpretations. Most importantly, accept that truth is often messy, and that's okay. By confronting the full picture, even the painful parts, you gain a deeper understanding of how we got here and where we can go next. Real empowerment begins when you stop accepting someone else's version of the past and start discovering it for yourself. If this video made you question what you've always believed, good. That means you're thinking for yourself. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What's one narrative you've started to question recently? Drop it in the comments. Your voice matters. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out our previous video. It connects perfectly with what we discussed today. We pour a lot of time and energy into making these videos, so if you found value here, please subscribe. It's just one click, but it means everything to us. Number 6. Experts are often biased or bought. We've been told to trust the experts, and in many cases, that's sound advice. But in today's world, more people are starting to ask a deeper question. Who's funding the expert? Because behind many polished titles and lab coats, there are often powerful forces quietly influencing the message. Whether it's pharmaceutical companies funding health studies, corporations backing environmental reports, or political groups sponsoring research, the line between science and salesmanship is getting dangerously blurry. And once people see that connection, they begin to wonder how much of what they're told is objective and how much is bought. This isn't just about a few bad actors. Studies published in respected medical journals have revealed a pattern. Research funded by corporations is far more likely to produce results that favor the sponsor. In other words, follow the money, and you'll often find the motive. This doesn't mean all experts are corrupt, but it does mean that even smart, well-educated people can be pressured to deliver conclusions that align with financial or political agendas. And when this happens too often, it erodes the public's ability to trust any authority figure at all, even the honest ones. So how do you navigate this? Start by becoming a more conscious consumer of information. When you hear an expert speak, ask yourself, who are they affiliated with? Who funds their work? Are they open about uncertainties, or do they speak in absolutes? The most trustworthy voices often admit when the data is limited or evolving. Look for those who share sources transparently, engage in open debate, and welcome disagreement. And remember, just because someone has credentials doesn't mean they're neutral. In a world where influence often hides behind titles, real wisdom comes from asking better questions, not just accepting polished answers. Number 7. Real whistleblowers are being silenced. We are often told that if something truly shady was happening, someone on the inside would speak out. The truth is, they have. Many times. But what most people don't realize is that real whistleblowers are rarely celebrated. In fact, they're often silenced, discredited, or even punished. Whether it's insiders from the intelligence community, pharmaceutical industry, military, or tech sector, history is full of brave individuals who tried to expose corruption or deception, only to face retaliation. And when people start to notice this pattern, it sends a chilling message. Truth has a price. Instead of being heard, whistleblowers are often labeled as traitors, conspiracy theorists, or mentally unstable. Media outlets downplay their claims. Their careers are destroyed. Some even risk imprisonment or exile. Edward Snowden, for example, revealed mass surveillance by the US government, but had to flee the country and live in hiding. Dr. Judy Mikovits, once a respected scientist, was blacklisted after challenging the medical establishment. Whether you agree with these figures or not, the pattern is clear. Challenging powerful narratives can come at a steep cost. So, how should you respond when someone is being silenced? First, don't assume they're right just because they're controversial, but don't dismiss them either. Look at the evidence they present. Ask why their message is being suppressed, and by whom. Consider their credentials, track record, and what they stand to gain, or lose, by speaking out. Follow independent platforms that give whistleblowers a voice when mainstream media won't. And remember, truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's buried under headlines and hashtags. Learning to spot those buried truths means training yourself to see not just what's being said, but what's being forcefully kept quiet. Number 8. People are seeking meaning beyond the mainstream. As trust in traditional systems collapses, whether it's media, government, science, or education, something surprising is happening. people are beginning to look inward. They are turning away from mainstream narratives and searching for deeper meaning, spiritual truth, and personal purpose. This isn't just about rejecting authority, it's about rediscovering what matters most when the old answers no longer satisfy. More and more, people are exploring alternative philosophies, ancient wisdom, meditation, holistic health, and independent thought, not because it's trendy, but because they're hungry for something real in a world that feels increasingly fake. Psychologists call this a meaning crisis, and it's more widespread than ever. In the absence of trust in external institutions, people begin to question everything, including their own identity, beliefs, and place in the world. While this can feel unsettling, it can also be the beginning of a personal awakening. For many, questioning the official story leads to more than just doubt, it leads to growth. They realize that truth isn't just what you're told, it's what you discover when you start asking deeper questions. And those questions often point beyond algorithms and talking heads to something much more timeless. So what does this shift mean for you? It means now is the time to explore. Read books that challenge your worldview. Reconnect with nature. Meditate. Journal. Reflect. It doesn't have to be religious, it just has to be real. Don't be afraid to let go of beliefs that no longer serve you. The search for meaning is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's what drives people to evolve when the old systems break down. In a world where information is cheap but wisdom is rare, your inner compass may be the most powerful guide you have left. Don't ignore it. Number 9. The rise of independent media. In the past, a handful of major outlets controlled most of what we saw, read, and believed. But today, the media landscape is being rewritten in real time. Millions of people are turning away from legacy networks and discovering independent journalists, podcasters, and creators who are reporting from outside the system. Platforms like Substack, YouTube, and decentralized social apps are giving a voice to those who don't fit the mainstream mold. And it's not just a trend, it's a massive shift in where people get their truth. For many, independent media feels more raw, honest, and human than the scripted reports delivered by polished news anchors. But with this freedom comes a challenge. Not all independent voices are credible. Anyone with a camera or a blog can claim to be telling the truth, and sometimes, misinformation spreads faster in these spaces than anywhere else. That's why discernment is more important than ever. The rise of alternative media has created both a golden age of truth-seeking and a minefield of confusion. And the line between independent thinker and reckless conspiracy theorist can be razor-thin. So how do you navigate this new world of information? Be curious, but cautious. Follow creators who are transparent about their research, open to debate, and not just selling fear. Look for balanced, well-sourced commentary, not just emotional rants. Pay attention to their motives. Are they trying to inform, or just go viral? The real power of independent media is that it puts control back in your hands. You get to choose what voices you trust. But with that freedom comes responsibility. In this new age, truth isn't handed to you. It's something you have to seek, test, and verify for yourself. And that journey is worth every step. Number 10. Critical thinking is becoming a survival skill. In a world where narratives are shifting, information is weaponized, and truth is often hidden beneath noise, one skill has become more valuable than ever: critical thinking. It's no longer just something you use in school, it's now a daily tool for survival. We are surrounded by headlines designed to provoke, influencers pushing opinions as facts, and institutions that don't always have our best interests at heart. In this chaos, the ability to pause, question, analyze, and verify isn't optional, it's essential. Without it, people fall into echo chambers, follow misleading voices, and make decisions based on fear instead of fact. Critical thinking doesn't mean doubting everything. It means knowing how to separate signal from noise. It's asking, what's the evidence? Who benefits from this? What's being left out? It's being okay with not having all the answers right away, and being willing to say, I don't know, yet. Researchers in psychology have found that people who practice regular critical thinking are less likely to fall for fake news, emotional manipulation, or extreme ideologies. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most aware. So how can you sharpen this skill? Start by slowing down. Don't react, reflect. Before sharing something online, read beyond the headline. Look at multiple sources. Learn to spot logical fallacies, emotional hooks, and manipulative language. Practice asking why, not just what. And don't be afraid to change your mind when presented with better information. That's not weakness, that's growth. In a world where truth is constantly being twisted, critical thinking is your armor, your compass, and your weapon. It doesn't just help you survive, it helps you see clearly when the world wants you confused. We are living in a time unlike any other. The systems we once trusted, governments, media, science, and education, are being questioned like never before. And for many, that loss of trust feels unsettling, even frightening. But here's the truth. This moment is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. When millions of people begin to wake up, ask hard questions, and demand honest answers, something powerful begins to happen. We stop blindly following, and we start thinking for ourselves. Losing faith in the official story doesn't mean falling into chaos. It means stepping into a space where you become the seeker of truth, not just a passive receiver. It means learning to see with clear eyes, think with a sharp mind, and feel with a steady heart. The 10 truths we explored today aren't just ideas, they're tools. Tools to help you navigate a noisy world, protect your peace, and stay grounded when others are lost in confusion. You don't have to have all the answers. None of us do. But if you're willing to stay curious, stay calm, and question everything with intention, not fear, you'll find your way. This journey isn't about proving others wrong. It's about becoming more aligned with what's right. For you, your values, and your future. So keep asking. Keep exploring. And most of all, don't let the collapse of old narratives shake your faith in your own inner truth. That's where the real power is. And hey, if this video helped you think deeper, you'll love the one we posted before this. It connects perfectly with today's topic. Your support means the world to us. If you found value here, subscribe. It's just one click, but it helps us keep creating content that truly matters.